very warm welcome to all our viewers, and we welcome Mr. Neelabh Srivastava, who is the co-founder of his organization, NotNul. And Mr. Neelabh is working for this. He has founded his organization for almost 5 years, 5 years back, along with his wife. So it's a great platform, successful platform for, in fact, publishing and reading ebooks. And prior to NotNul, Mr. Neelabh has experience of working with companies like Counseling Foundation of Canada, Satyam Computers, and he has worked for clients like Cisco, British Petroleum in various capacities of technology and management. In terms of education, he has done his graduation from JP Institute, BTech, and his MBA from Schulich School of Business, York University. So without further ado, now let's interact with Mr. Neelabh, and let's ask him that how this complete idea of, in fact, of starting this venture came in. So Mr. Neelabh, if you can just give us a brief insight that what inspired you to, in fact, to just start this venture.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, Ashishji, and thank you for your entire team asking me to talk about this whole idea. Of course, it's a pleasure to talk about my own motivation, how I came up with this idea and how actually I'm running for last 5 years, because of course, starting up a venture is a difficult job, and then running out for 5 years is almost as pressurizing as it can be anything like, you know. So coming back to the question once again, I would say I always aspire or wanted to be an entrepreneur. I guess from when I was in class 11, 12 probably, then it was the definition of entrepreneur was not there, but at that time existed was the businessman. So I never wanted to go out for a job. I never loved going for a job. Everyone asked, that time everyone of your relative will come and ask you what are you going to do, what kind of jobs do you prefer, engineering, management, or doctor or whatsoever. But I never preferred to be holding up a wonderful job. I always aspired that once I should have something on my own, I should build up something of my own. So this was always on top of my mind always. And then I worked as you said in my brief intro, I worked with the Satyam Computers for almost three years. That was a job, and that was mainly to understand how the scenario, the professional world works, how to understand, just to get the idea about this professional industry, and then I'll think about my own business house or something like that. So that is where I joined Satyam, and I learned about technology and various aspects of management as well. And then I went for my MBA because I felt that MBA is important. At that stage, I felt that it was important to understand about the various businesses, how the finance or the marketing or the supply chain or the operations works together to create or to run a business show.
Absolutely.
So I did my MBA from Schulich School of Business. And I chose foreign MBA over the Indian MBAs just because at that point of time, I felt that Indian MBAs do not encourage on entrepreneurship at that point of time. That was my own internal feeling. The viewers or anyone can have different opinions, but my opinion was that even the top MBA institutes in India focuses on jobs rather than focusing on entrepreneurship. And the case was not with a US MBA or European MBAs. They actually want you to become an entrepreneur to create jobs.
Nice.
Probably, yeah. So that is the reason I went for MBA from Schulich School of Business, and there I learned the various economies of entrepreneurship. The way the idea came into my mind that once my professor asked me to write some articles about marketing, how the scenarios has been changed for last 500 odd years. How the marketing scenarios has been changing constantly. So I asked my professor that it would be really difficult for me to get something on this. If you can tell me where I can get the books or the articles about it. So he gave me a link, an ID and password to see or to search for all those books. When I went there, I saw almost lakhs and lakhs of books saved in terms of, as a part of ebook. Yes. So it was really, great to see that those many books were digitized and brought to, brought online and was
Okay,
available to students like us who can reach out any point of time and read those books. And those
amazing.
books, actually, those books not really belong to Canada only. They're coming out from different parts of the world, India or Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia. So different parts of the world, the books were digitized and brought online on a single platform. So
Okay,
that was really interesting and motivational for me. Then I understood, India being such a, historically rich country,
yeah,
we have such a wonderful history about ourselves. And and if you talk about the ebook content or digitization, we have been lacking a lot.
okay,
If we talk about our own mother tongue, which is my own mother tongue, which is Hindi,
yeah,
if I have to get a book of 10 20 years old book, probably it will be difficult for me to find out those books in market in printed format. At the
okay,
same time, ebook never existed for them.
all
So
right,
Hindi literature has never been digitized before, almost never been digitized. I wouldn't say that it has never been digitized, but almost never been digitized. No one was looking into it seriously to
okay,
create a market of ebooks in Hindi literature, which
okay,
was very important just because we have a rich history of literature, rich culture about the literature coming from various languages, not just Hindi. So if we could start up with Hindi, that would be really great because no one has actually entered into this market. That is
okay.
how the idea shaped in the mind, and we started off with that.
That's very nice. I think it's very inspiring, and I'm sure that that was the idea in terms of converting into the complete digital format and
Yeah.
getting into the e-publishing mode. So, if you can also give a brief introduction about your startup, like what your startup is into, so that our viewers can get a more clear picture in terms of which all languages you are right now doing the complete publishing part, and how
Yeah.
many languages you have covered so far. So I think it will
Mhm.
be a great insight to our viewers. So can you please tell me
Sure, sure.
about it?
So Nocturnal started off with bringing Hindi literature magazines that we have been reading, like Chandan and then Chanda Mama and Gyan Uday and Hans, these kind of
Okay,
magazines, which we
okay,
actually we have been going through these magazines on railway platforms. We have been constantly part of those magazines while traveling.
right.
But they have never been online, what we felt, and if we can bring them online, it would be really great. So the
Okay,
idea of Notnal started off with bringing the Indian literature, and we started off with Hindi literature.
okay,
So Notnal is basically an e-publishing platform where you can publish your book in ebook format and
okay,
can sell your book. Sell your book means the way it works is, say for example, you are a writer, you want to publish a book, you can
right.
send us the manuscript of that book. We will get it published online
Okay,
without taking any charge from the author, and we'll
okay,
keep up a price of the ebook. Of course, ebooks are cheaper in terms of cost than compared to the printed books, just because the cost of the printing is not involved. So it
true.
can be way cheaper than what could be the printing books are.
Absolutely,
So, for
absolutely.
example, if the printed books are in 300 or 400 odd rupees, we can easily bring out them to our readers in 40 rupees, 50 rupees, 60 rupees.
Amazing.
So the
That's a great
economies of
price
scale are really
reduction.
down to, yeah, almost 1/10 of the price we are
One
offering
tenth
to our
of the
readers.
pricing. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And then the author gets 60% as the royalty part of it. So for
Okay,
example, if the book price is 50 rupees and if I purchase your book,
yeah,
I pay 50 rupees online. As soon as I pay 50 rupees, the 60% of the royalty goes to the author, 40% goes to the Notnal company.
all right.
Okay. And an automatic email informs author that his or her book has been sold, and
Great,
he or she can go online to check that. So that
great.
is how it all works out. The way it spanned out is that we started off creating with magazines, and then we went into the books. And what is started happening is, just because these books never existed in digital format, many users started coming up to us to get those books online. So because it was easy for them. If you
Okay,
look out to
absolutely.
something, yeah,
In terms
something
of
like
access
this.
wise, you can access it anywhere across the globe. Now,
Yes,
since you have solved this major problem. So, in fact, I was
yes.
going to ask this question to you. What is the major problem you're going to solve with this?
Yeah, so maybe we can merge this question
Yeah,
so that we can
absolutely.
better make our readers or viewers
Absolutely.
understand about it.
Absolutely.
See, for example, if I'm selling a magazine and it has to go to South India, it might take a couple of days or a week time to reach South India.
Very true.
And
Very true.
this, yeah, so we are almost a week delayed or 15 days delayed in reaching to South India. The same thing is happening when we are sending it across to Northeast.
True.
Okay, Northeast, some, what we have been, what our discussion says that with Northeast people that it almost reaches 2 to 3 months late. So, for example, if something is happening out in Hindi literature right now,
Yeah.
they would know to come to know about it 3 months late through this magazine. Otherwise,
Okay.
of course, the social media is very powerful to make them understand about
True.
this, but at the same time, it is actually delayed. So people are not able to read these magazines right on the time when it is getting published.
Absolutely.
And if you look at the scenarios, the same the problem is happening in small towns and villages also, because if I talk about Lucknow, where we have started off with this,
Yes.
even Lucknow doesn't have those many bookstores where we can get these magazines, Gyanodaya or Hans, easily available. So
Okay.
when I look out in my vicinity, there are a couple of shops, that's all, where I can get these magazines. Even they are sometimes they're not able to provide those magazines. The
Okay.
best books or all the books which are published in Hindi literature, if you have to go, probably Aminabad, which is quite far away from my house, is the only option. So
Okay.
the problem is that in the days where we need we are talking about instant noodles, instant Maggie, and we are getting something 20 kilometers far away from our house. How
Absolutely.
would you feel? You have to create a plan to go out to purchase those books and come back. So if
It is a
we
very
can
time-taking
minimize
process.
time taking and yeah, study process, so we can minimize this time and effort.
Okay.
It will eventually save a lot of time. At the
True.
same time, it will eventually save a lot of money for our readers, just because they have to shell out 300 or 400 odd bucks to get those
Absolutely.
books. You are getting it
Absolutely.
here in 50 rupees, 40 rupees, 60 rupees whatsoever. So that
True.
is how the whole idea was, to make it available. So
Great.
NotNul is main, as I told you, the coming back to your question, NotNul is
Yeah.
mainly an ebook publishing platform
Okay.
where, where we publish books in e-format. You can
Right.
read it on our through our mobile app, through
Yeah.
desktop. So it is not in printable format. You cannot print it, you cannot download it, or you cannot send it to other friends. But
Okay.
you can read it on your own. That is how it is all about.
Just one question which came to
Sure,
my
sure.
mind. In today's the mobile age, a lot of people do, in terms of screenshot. So if they screenshot the complete content and then they start sending it, so
Yeah.
will that affect your complete downloading and the access
Yeah.
part?
Yeah,
Is there
this
some
is a
challenge to
question.
it?
Actually, okay, of course, there is a challenge, and this is we understand this challenge, but we have not stopped. And the technology, there are technology in place which can stop you taking from the screenshots, but
Right.
we are not doing that same, just because if the book is all about 100 odd pages, you have to take 100 odd screenshots and compile it together, then create a PDF out of it,
Absolutely.
and
It's,
then
it's a
send
very
across.
cumbersome process. True, true.
And
It
for
doesn't give
40
you
rupees,
that.
yeah, 40 rupees, 30 rupees, there is nothing much to
Absolutely.
get out of it. So we
Absolutely.
understand that economies of scale is very low for us, and
True.
then if we can get more and more users, that will be really beneficial. So I haven't
Amazing.
seen people doing same thing, but
Yeah.
anyway, they can.
Absolutely. Great. I think that's a great insight. So how many languages you are right now doing the publishing part?
Yeah.
When it
So
comes to the publishing?
yeah, we started off with Hindi literature. As of now,
Okay.
we have almost 5,000 books in Hindi literature,
Amazing.
and apart from that, we have books in English, Urdu, Kannada,
Okay.
Punjabi, Marathi. The
Okay.
number of books could be there. As I told you, we have just started off, so they are very low in number.
Okay.
But we are forcing ourselves to bring out better content in these languages as well.
Okay.
And there are some organizations which are actually helping us out. They're actually tying up with us to get their books in terms of ebook format, and get their books online in terms of ebook format from our own platform.
Oh,
So
great.
one such organization is Bird Bankers Institute of Rural Development. So they have a wonderful research team which do a lot of research upon the rural entrepreneurship, or a financial, the village villages, financials, and all that about, and they have never been published in such a format which could be available to all the users very easily. That is what we are doing as of now. So we are, apart from Hindi, we are into English, Urdu, Kannada, Punjabi,
Okay.
and Marathi.
Amazing. And also, which all various, when you talk about various, genres. So which all various segments you are into? Is it related to only fiction novels, or like how, like what is the overall brief when it comes to various genres of the publishing
Yeah,
part?
actually, the market is changing very rapidly, and we are
Okay.
not just looking into the genres as of now. It
Okay.
could be what people are really into, and the readers can love anything. That could be,
Okay.
what. For example, I'll start with something like, we started off with writing science in Hindi,
Okay.
just because we realized that a lot of things has never been existing, they never existed into the Hindi language. What
Okay.
we have been going reading a lot about engineering, or medical science in English languages. But
Right.
what if someone can explain us in a very easy format in Hindi language, which our users or students can grasp very easily?
Okay.
So, we created this kind of initiative, and that was very successful. Same thing we are doing with other genres as well. When you talk about novels, or poems or poetries, there are other genres which are actually being loved by people.
Okay.
As these days, what we have seen, that there is a tremendous growth in non-fiction category. So
Okay.
people do want to know a lot about what has happened in our history, what is
Okay.
happening, the political scenarios, the technology, the way we are developing, everything is being developed. So they want to know about it, and if it is available in their own mother tongue, that is very interesting, or easily accessible or graspable for them. So that is how
Okay.
we are creating the content. If the content is wonderful, we are ready to publish it. It is not about anything that we are stopping
So
with.
you're not
If
stopping to one particular segment. It's like
no,
across
no,
genres, across segments, and whatever
yes,
whatever the reader loves, you will be trying to provide them that particular
right, 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 right.
movement to them. That's great. Okay, so now let's move on to the other question in terms of the what is the ecosystem. If you talk about the complete eco is complete the ecosystem of your industry. So how many competitors? What are the various players who are there in your domain? And how are you
So
trying to compete with them, be it a much better place with them? So if you can talk something about on
Very interestingly, the
that.
competition is very low as of now.
Okay.
We have not seen much competition coming in into the Hindi literature or ebook publishing,
Okay.
because before, the situation I'll talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Right.
Pre-COVID, everyone felt that ebooks are supplementary. If something is not available in print format, probably we'll go out for ebooks and we'll look out for ebooks. The people and the number of people actually interested, number of people in Hindi literature or Hindi
Yeah.
actually interested in ebooks are very, very low. The numbers were very low
Okay.
in pre-COVID stage.
Okay.
People felt that it is a supplementary. If something is not available in print format, or if I'm facing any challenges, probably I'll go out for it. Of course, there were people who love to read only ebooks like me. I just read only ebooks. I don't want something in print format as of now, because for me it is very handy, easy to carry out, easy to read. Everything is so great for me about ebooks. So there are percentage of people who loved in books in ebook format, but their
Okay.
percentage in Hindi literature is very low.
Okay.
So people never understand that there could be some revenue model out of it, or some businesses can business can grow into this industry. So initially that was the case, but in post
Right.
COVID stage, I do see a lot of increase in the numbers ebook readers, the
Okay.
numbers of the ebook readers,
Okay.
because now probably the print books are not really available. The printing industry probably has been hit hard. That is what I've been constantly reading on newspaper.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not really, I don't really know about it in real terms, but what I've been reading through newspapers, they have been hit hard in the post COVID stage, and people are not able to get those books easily. And we have realized that probably the future lies in ebook format. So the
Absolutely.
conversion has started happening very fast. So as of now, we don't see any competition happening. There are a couple of startups in ebooks, but not really what we are doing with Hindi literature or with the kind of literature that we are looking into. There are startups which are working. Say, for example, Kindle is one of, you can say that Kindle is one of our
Right.
competitor.
Right.
But at the same time, there is a problem with the Kindle. Kindle is a self-publishing platform.
Okay.
So you just it's not just Kindle. I want to distinguish myself. Kindle is a self-publishing platform. If
Okay.
I have written something which I feel is a great, I can go on to publish it on Kindle. There is no scrutiny. There is no one actually looking or giving you proper guidance that this book is not really good or this is book is is vulgar or whatsoever,
Okay.
in terms of the
So there is no
content. But
control over the content part. It's like
yes,
open
yes,
and anybody can publish, and so there is no
yes,
control over it
no control. But for us,
quality
it
wise.
is a different scenario that
Yeah.
we have our team in place which checks
Okay.
the content, which reads the content, and this is based out of very renowned authors of the literature.
Okay.
They go through the content, and based upon their opinions, we publish them. So it is
Okay.
not just anything is being published on our platform. We look out for the quality content all the time, unlike Kindle. So there are competition happening, but at the same time, the competition is not so pinching us so hard as of now. First of all, second thing is ebook market is pretty open as of now. The number of people actually who can read ebooks are way larger than what the number of startups are there which are carrying out this which are working into this model. So,
Great.
so competition is not really happening. In fact, everyone is helping us to reach more and more audience. So, if Kindle is helping us to get to convert people into ebook reading mode, this is actually eventually helping us as well. Just because if you are getting conversant with the ebook reading and everything, all about how good is ebook, getting familiar with ebook scenarios, eventually you will come to us as well for getting some other books or from
Right.
our platform. So it is
Absolutely.
kind of instead of creating kind of a red ocean, it is kind of a blue ocean strategy for us. If they
Okay.
are converting people into the ebook, they're eventually helping us as well. And
Absolutely.
same thing is going to back to them as well. If they someone is coming to us understanding about ebooks and started loving the ebooks, probably they go on to purchase some books from Kindle. So we are
Great.
kind of creating a blue ocean strategy.
Very nice. So I'm sure that it will add a lot of customers to your overall market, and that's how you'll
Yes,
be able to get more revenue also out of it.
probably that is what I would say. Someone if they are aspiring to be entrepreneurship, not everything is all about competition. Probably competition sometimes helps you,
Helps you. True.
but we have to understand how does it help you. So Kindle,
Absolutely.
we can go on to say that Kindle is my competition, and it is actually but in other scenarios, it is actually helping us out to convert people to into the ebook format, making them familiar with that format, and helping us grow in revenues and in number of users as well.
Very nice. Okay, so now let's move on to our another question, that how are
Sure.
you right now promoting your startup? What is the overall your promotional strategy in terms of reaching out to your right customers? And where are your customers actually? Are they only placed in are your readers are only in tier one towns or tier two towns or tier three towns? So how do you promote them and how do you reach out to them?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question, I would say. Thank you so much for this question. When we started off
Yeah.
initially, and everyone does their groundwork before starting off, they have something in place. How would the revenue model be? How would they would gain the customers and everything? When we were planning about this whole idea and the model, we felt that the big cities like Delhi or NCR or Mumbai, the people from these cities will eventually become our reader, and we never understood or we never realized that other areas, tier 2 cities or small town b town cities can for people from these cities can be our readers. So
Okay.
we planned everything according to these metropolitan cities. But in couple of now, not really couple of months, probably 6 months down the line, we understood that the situation is really different from that.
Okay.
People in small cities or B towns do have time, unlike the people from the metropolitan cities who don't have time in their 24 hours, busy schedule. They don't really have time.
Okay.
In B town cities or villages or small cities, people do have some time to spare with books or to read about something, but
Okay.
they are not able to get those books just because our delivery model in Hindi were really poor. So
Okay.
there were not really there were not really a number of shops were not existing who can supply you those kind of literature very easily, very readily available, make it readily available. So that is how that is the reason we get a lot of our customers from the B town or tier 2 cities.
Okay.
And then we planned out, let's focus on them, just because none of these startups or no one would actually focus on these villages or B town cities, or tier 2 cities. So we started focusing on these cities to gain our market.
Okay.
And that has really helped us in last couple of years, because they have actually become our key readers, which are
All right.
constantly coming up and purchasing the books from our own portal. So
Amazing.
that has been our greatest gain when we focused about it in B town cities or small villages. Now coming back to post COVID stage, the issue has changed drastically, just because we cannot travel to any cities. Of course, we marketed we did a lot of marketing through universities, where we
Okay.
felt that there are a lot of students who want to read from NotNul or want to read this kind of literature. So we have been almost to all the major universities in India, or even degree colleges, where we can present to students, that we can talk about ebooks. We can tell
Okay.
them, how easily you can get those books, how easily you can read these books. So we did a lot of things in like that. But
All
in
right.
post COVID stage, I guess we are working only with social media marketing channels.
Okay.
We are also, we are of course asking people from various universities to give us the time, like
Right.
Zoom call or something, these kind of platforms, online platforms, where
Okay.
we can talk to students and tell them how to use our own platform.
That's great. That's great. I think it's amazing information which in terms of promoting your startup, because it is very important that how do you reach out to your customers.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
with the with the advancement of digital technology, you can you can reach out to your customers in a much better way.
Right, right.
Amazing. Okay, now let's start. Now let's talk about in terms of that, how what is your plan in terms of scaling it up further? Because it's been 5 years for you. When we started this company almost 5 years back. So,
Yes.
what is your vision in terms of scaling it up further? And what is are you looking for some kind of funding? And how do you intend to scale it up? So something on this part.
Yeah. So for last 5 years has been a wonderful journey. I would say it's there has been ups, there has been downs. Of course, as we do see in a lot of startups, the ups and downs are the crest and troughs are very high sometimes. Sometimes just a small crest and troughs, but it happens to every startup. So we have been witnessing those. We witnessed a lot just because. So last 5 years we have been bootstrapped, which means that we are actually growing through our own sales. Say,
Okay.
so a lot of people are actually reading from NotNul, which are getting us more and more sales, and because of that, we have been able to build up a team,
Okay.
and that is how our leadership has been. They are reading a lot, which are actually motivating us to bring more and more content, through which we have built our team very slowly. But it's a wonderful team that we have been built in last 5 years. So being bootstrapped, of course there are challenges, but because we cannot invest into a lot of other things,
Yeah.
we have invested a lot into technology, the kind of content we want to have online. So moving ahead, of course the ebook industry is the future as of now.
Right.
And the ebook industry, I will still say that ebook industry is in a primitive stage. A lot
Right.
of technological inventions are happening on a daily basis. A lot of things are being changing, are changing constantly, and we have to keep ourselves along with those technological inventions. So if that has to happen, we have to have a wonderful technology team, because
True.
at the end of the day, we are not just a content provider, we are also a technological platform which helps you to read those ebooks.
True. True.
So yeah, in these days, these scenarios, no one is actually everyone is helpless without technology. So
True.
we have to understand that if the technological invention stops somewhere, we will be out of the market any point of time. Second thing is, of course, we have to invest a lot into the marketing, just because India is the history of, or the culture of Indian literature has been really, really huge. And then to bring them online from all the languages, it needs a lot and lot of effort from, and that is where we want people to come on board for us, because at the, I can understand Hindi, but we have to get conversant with Kannada or Tamil or Malayalam or other languages to bring them online. So we have to have a team from different languages and make it available in our, as a part of our staff, to bring them online, which needs a lot of people on our board, which needs a lot of marketing. So that is where we need a lot of, we need investments, and we are looking
Right.
out for investors who can invest
Okay.
into this idea, and then kind of see the ebook market developing so quickly in next 5 years, or 2 to 3 years, I would say.
Absolutely. I'm sure you'll get the right investors. And with this,
Yes.
with a lot of effort being going on, and
Yes.
post COVID, I think a lot of things have turned. And I'm sure
Yes.
your startup is going to get a lot of advantage in certain segments. Okay.
Yes.
If you have to talk about in terms of the various challenges which you're facing in these last
Mhm.
5 years, what are the various challenges you have faced and how you are trying to overcome them, and what is it you're looking at in terms of converting those challenges into opportunities?
So the biggest challenges that I saw, when we started off, it was a difficult proposition to start something from Lucknow, just
Okay.
because Lucknow has never been a startup hub, or number of startups were very, very less, or still there are still less when compared to cities
Yeah.
like Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, or NCR.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenges came, when we started off from Lucknow.
Okay.
But I was very adamant that Lucknow has to have some startups going, so that being from the Lucknow, just it is something coming up from my heart, that we have to have a startup coming out from Lucknow, and then that has to continuously grow. The number of startups has to grow. So even I have to take that step to be in Lucknow, to start something from the Lucknow. But the biggest challenge came that I was not able to get people, your right kind of people in our team, you
Okay.
know someone who has the good knowledge, or who can perform much better. They were never they never wanted to stay in Lucknow. They wanted to be in
Okay.
NCR, they wanted to be in Bangalore, Pune, or Hyderabad. But Lucknow was not somewhere, not a city where everyone or someone want to be, after having a proper knowledge about, or the technology or the marketing stuff. So we were finding it very difficult to get people on our board with the right kind of attitude, with the right kind of knowledge. And when we felt a lot of challenges with our human resource department
Okay.
initially.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the biggest challenge.
So
And
are
the
you able
way
to solve
we,
this challenge, and
yes,
have you
yes,
started getting the right people in your
yes,
team? And
yes, we started
okay.
off getting right people in the team, but initially it was a big challenge,
All right.
because we understand the reason about it.
Yeah.
So the way we have handled it is probably the because me and my wife both were good. We were good at technology, so we understand the technology. So we hired the fresher, we trained them about the platforms, and ensured that if something is being developed, we are always a part of it. So that is the reason we ensured that even if someone is coming up, in someone where fresher is coming up, we can help them grow in our space. So this is one thing. Second
That's
thing
great.
is, yeah. Second thing, the problem that we faced is about the technology. Just because the technology for ebook in Hindi literature is were not existing.
Okay. Okay.
There is still very poor shape. Just because optimizing Hindi fonts on for mobile was very difficult challenge. So how would you do that, was one of the biggest challenge that we faced when we started off. The PDF are not really mean that you
Okay.
are into the ebooks. So you have to make something which is mobile optimized, and PDF are not really mobile optimized. The way Kindle works out, it is not really PDF. So have
Okay.
to create some API or some sort of technological inventions where we can optimize Hindi fonts very easily.
Okay. Okay.
So there were some kind of these kind of challenges which we faced. Of course, sometimes the revenue were not so good in the initial stage, so we have to
Okay.
pour in. How long you want to pour in? So
Okay.
these kind of challenges keep happening, and you have to solve it somewhere.
Okay, I'm sure with the last 5 years, I'm sure you would have
Yeah,
overcome a lot of challenges, and I would say that that challenges makes us more stronger in nature,
exactly.
and with more challenges, we know how to in fact manage them and also to overcome them.
And to all our readers and viewers, I would say that
Yeah.
initially I ensured that I am always a part of the marketing team.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. So if I'm going out to talk to my readers,
Yeah.
to my users, to my authors, I know about NotNull, what it is
Absolutely.
good at, what it is not good at, what kind of changes to bring about,
Yeah.
so that these kind of changes are always a part of the development agenda when we are talking with our development team.
Okay. That's
Uh,
great.
uh, yeah, so you have to ensure that these are the challenges, but you have to step up to overcome come those challenges.
True. Absolutely. All right. So, last but not the least, there is one
Yeah,
one last question which I would like to
sure,
ask, and
sure, sure, sure.
it is going to help our viewers as well to understand what is your vision. Say next, say maybe in next 5 years down the line, where do you want your company to, or which particular milestone you want a company to achieve? Now you're
Okay.
planning to achieve it.
You know, whenever we go out for an interview, this is a wonderful question that everyone asks you: where do you see yourself 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line?
Absolutely.
And I was always very poor at some visualizing something 5 years down the line.
Okay.
Probably it's not about I cannot see something 5 years or 10 years down the line,
Okay.
but I prefer to and especially with this startup, I prefer to plan for next 1 year or 2 odd years. But if
Okay.
something you want to talk about 5 years down the line, of course the ebook industry has to grow. That is
Right.
the industry which will eventually overcome the print industry as of now, right? And we everyone would be part of the ebook industry. So we want to
Okay.
pioneer that industry, especially if I talk about the Indian literature, be it any languages, be it any kind of books. Notnal has to be one platform where you can go and read or get those books online. So we have to create some sort of things where you and which the just telling you about it. Notnal means the same thing. It's the word Notnal is coming out of the engineering word, from the SQL query, which is if you search about Notnal, it will eventually give you the result of something where null is not existing, or some
Okay.
column which is not null.
Okay.
So we
Very
create that kind
interesting.
of, yeah, that sort of the naming conventions, just because if you're looking out for a book in any industry or anything, in Indian context probably as of now, so you can go on to Notnal to get that book. So we
Okay.
have to become one-stop shop for every kind of ebooks. That is
Okay.
what we are looking at. Then
Great.
eventually we'll see how to grow from to grow from there. and
Okay.
and a lot of other areas, other countries are coming up with us to get, there are other countries where the market is not existing,
Okay.
especially when we start off with Urdu and Arabic literature. There are complete Middle East where the ebook industry has not flourished at all. So
Okay.
we are actually looking into this industry to get ourselves into those kind of zone.
Okay. Great plans, I would say, and I'm sure with your level of energy and with all the strength, which the way you focus, which is there, I'm sure you'll be able to achieve your milestone and your vision. And
Thank you, thank you,
wish you all the best for a startup. And we will
thank
look
you so
forward,
much.
and we would love to see that your company reaches that milestone. Thank you very
Thank you,
much
thank you so much.
for coming on the show, and it was great to have you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Same to you. Very nice talking to you.
Thank you.